Good afternoon and welcome to Let's Talk About It, all the things. Welcome.
Hi, Chris.
I always say hi, Whitney, first. You just totally threw me for a loop. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, better than last time?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Much
me
better.
too.
You too?
Yeah.
Good.
I just found out about my hair girl. The girl does my hair. She's cutting back a little bit. That's making me sad.
That's devastating, honestly. Like, because I feel like all women out there, like, you have a hair girl.
Yes.
And, like, you don't want to lose your hair girl.
No.
Because what do you do?
Exactly. I went on like kind of a little protest for a whole year. I wouldn't let anybody touch my hair. And finally I found her. I was like, yeah. So,
Yeah.
20 plus years with this girl. I was like,
That's a
I'm not
long
letting
time.
you go.
It's a really long time.
But yeah, no, all's good.
Well, excellent. Well, we're very excited today because Whitney and I have a guest.
Yes.
Many of you may remember, when was that?
A couple
September?
episodes.
I think it was August or September. Anyways, August or September, we had Pastor Stephanie Newman from Christ Lutheran Church, and she was a guest, and she just happened to bring her daughter, Harper, who watched from behind the scenes that day.
Yep.
And in talking to Pastor and then kind of talking a little bit to Harper after, Harper struggles a lot with some mental illness and suicide ideation. And we thought because Harper's a youth and we're really trying to speak to our youth audience, we asked Harper if she would come on and just share a little bit of her story and maybe help all of our teens out there feel maybe less alone.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
we would like to welcome Harper.
Hello.
Hi, Harper.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Yeah. Good.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
Yes. I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a little nerve-wracking, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're kind of putting yourself out there for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we appreciate it. Well, why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself, like how old you are, maybe even just start talking a little bit about your struggle. Like, when did you kind of start
Realizing
realizing
that you've had this.
Yeah.
Well, my name's Harper, obviously. I'm 14, and I think it all started possibly in fourth grade, but
Okay.
I mostly just started with OCD, and then after the OCD got how do I explain this? My therapist told me when the OCD is so loud, the depression is so quiet because it's the main struggle and you can't notice anything else going on.
Makes
So when
sense.
my OCD got better, my depression got really bad. So
So they kind of flip-flopped a little bit?
yeah, OCD is not a thing for me anymore almost, but yeah.
So you went from one struggle to another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you had OCD, what did that look like for you? Because I know it can look differently for everybody out
Yeah.
there. So what did it look like for you?
I had contamination OCD. It started with germs kind of, and then I was really upset about COVID, obviously.
Yeah.
So when COVID started, it just kind of gave it a head start, I guess.
Yeah. I can see that.
But yeah, I don't know.
So with your OCD, how did you manage that? How did you get that under control to come down?
Well, I went to residential for OCD and stuff, and they really helped. They I realized that when I would wash my hands repeatedly and stuff and do all that the what's the word? I don't know, but when I would have urges to do things and I did them, it would just get worse and worse because it's not an addiction. I don't know how to explain it.
Kind of
But-
compulsive, right?
Yeah, compulsive.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. And they explained to me that when you keep doing those things, it just gets worse, and because you're giving into the OCD, right? So, they started me off little by little. I don't know what my first they're called exposures. I think it's called CBT is what
Okay.
they do. It's like DBT but with OCD.
Okay. I've
So-
heard of DBT, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like cognitive behavioral therapy.
okay.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. But you basically just start off with like little things and get up to your biggest fear.
Okay.
So like for me it was like OCD, it doesn't make sense. So like bear with me. But I was like scared of my aunt because she had a dog that smelled really bad, and for some reason it just like triggered me. Like I didn't want to smell bad, and even 6 months after the dog died, it like I like thought that she still smelled like the dog. So I was like, it just like upset me a lot.
Yeah.
And so every time I saw her, it would be like, and she ended up staying with us for like 2 weeks during the winter, so that's when it really got bad. And I would do things to like clean myself, I guess. I don't know. And it just kept getting worse because I was like giving into that stuff. So then I had to go to residential, like I said, and I don't know. It was really helpful actually. Like it wasn't like any like it wasn't like a normal mental hospital, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was more like it's just like it was almost like a vacation because they let you go outside with supervision, obviously. And then like because usually places like that don't let you go outside, you know?
Right. Right.
And you could go on pass, which was like you get to hang out with whoever's there with you
Okay.
for a couple hours, and then they work up to like more hours.
Okay.
And yeah, it helped me a lot because I realized like the more I don't know how to explain it, but the more you like face your fears, the easier it gets. So
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah, for sure. How long were you in the rehab center?
I think like 3 months almost.
So
And
a pretty
then-
good length of time.
Yeah.
And coming out of that, like, I mean, I'm sure your OCD didn't completely go away, but it was definitely minimized.
Yeah, I had to go to like PHP after, which was like partial. It's like the same amount of time as school would be, and you just do exposures in this building. It's like, and then you work down to like, I forgot what it's called, but eventually you work down to like 3 hours, and then like therapy at home or something. And I had to go back a couple times, not to residential specifically, but just like the program of PHP. And then once that all went away, I started getting like really depressed.
So you flip-flopped.
Yeah, and even though I don't have OCD anymore, I still have a lot of anxiety. So, yeah.
So when you flip-flopped, so on the depression end, I mean, I want to talk a little bit about that because, you know, Whitney and I are pretty aware that, you know, depression and anxiety are like the top two, you know, mental illnesses out there, you know,
Yeah.
for teens especially. So talk to us a little bit about like, what did your depression look like? Like, how did it make you feel?
It made me feel like really tired all the time. Like when people say, "Oh, I'm tired," it usually like you think it's like, "Oh, I need to go to sleep." Like I didn't get a lot of sleep. But there's more than that. When you have like depression, it's like you feel tired physically and mentally because of all the struggles, like especially with the anxiety part. Like if I would go to school a full day, I would be so tired that I would just sleep the rest of the day. Like I wouldn't do anything else. And my middle school was not helpful with that. I don't know why, but as soon as I got into high school, it was just like they understood completely. And the middle school was not doing a good job of communicating what was happening, I guess. So they just thought I was lazy or something.
Yeah, we hear that a lot.
But yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of what I've heard, that it literally just
It drains you.
you.
Yeah.
Like
It's just mentally draining.
Yeah. It just like
Yeah.
saps all of your energy out of you.
So with your depression, do you have an underlying anxiety that's battling that as well?
School. I have a lot of anxiety surrounding school. Like, I only go for 3 hours right now because if I went a full day, it would just not be good. Like, I would probably get really depressed again. I mean, I still have depression, but it would be so much worse if I had to go a full day because it was just so tiring. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So with your anxiety, is it more like social anxiety, school anxiety, like,
It used to be a lot of social anxiety, but obviously it's not that bad anymore.
yeah.
And I found that once my social anxiety like calmed down, it was like I'm more of an extrovert now than I was before.
Oh.
So it's weird, but school, like as for school, it's like you just feel trapped there almost, and like it's just so draining having to be somewhere you don't want to be all day.
Yeah.
True.
I feel that.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know how the teaching ways are nowadays, but back when I was in school, I'd go through a couple classes and be like, I don't want to be here. Anxiety of thinking about going to them because it's
Yeah.
like I'm not learning anything. Why do I need to learn it? So yeah. So but again, I don't know how they do it today. I know it's probably drastically different. Not trying to age myself, but
Right. I know. Could be. Yeah. So have you ever, I mean, so depression, like, I mean, where is that at now? Like, are you able to sort of control it, or does it overtake you still sometimes? Like, how does that feel?
It comes and goes. I feel like there are sometimes like I'll be super depressed and then others I'll be pretty normal,
Yeah.
feeling like yeah. And I think you just have to like learn to like deal with the really hard eras, I guess. Because I always think like when I'm super depressed like that, like it won't get better. Like yeah, I'll just be like that for the rest of my life. And then once I like am slightly happier again, it's like, oh, why did I think like that? But it's just like a never ending cycle at this
Right.
point. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's very, very true. So with your depression, or even your OCD and anxiety, all of it, what tools do you use to bring yourself out of that a little bit?
I like to draw. I mean, I don't know. Some coping skills that I've like learned, like they don't work for me, but it's different for everybody, honestly. Because like some people may like breathing techniques, and others may like mindfulness, like meditation or something. But yeah, I like to draw. I like to listen to music. It's more just like I like distractions because it really helps, in my opinion. Yeah.
I'm big into coloring.
Yeah.
I love to color adult coloring books.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah. So like whenever, and you're right, it's a total distraction, right? So like I can be listening to music or a cool podcast like this one, and color at the same time. And yeah, it's like a distraction, and it kind of pulls you out of that a little bit.
I just saw something on TikTok. They say if you're going through depression or more specifically an anxiety attack or panic attack even, they say if you eat something sour, it redirects your brain.
Ooh, do you do that? Have you ever done that? Have you heard that?
I've heard that, but I don't know if I've like tried it. It kind of does though. Like I feel like when I eat sour stuff, it's like
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, because it's supposed to like, quickly pull you
yeah,
out of
because what you do when you eat something sour, you're like,
Yeah.
like, you know, you pucker up, right?
Yeah, kind of a shock to your system a little bit. Yeah, so I kind of want to try that.
I'll have to like buy some sour candies or something.
Right? The like extra sour balls or something. The warheads, that's what they're called.
yeah.
Yes.
When I was in DBT, like I went to residential for a second time. It was on the same unit, but they wanted to make me as comfortable as possible, so they put me on the same unit as last time because obviously it would have been scarier if I wasn't like familiar with the place, I guess.
Right.
So, because it was a really big like building. So there were different units and all that stuff. And they helped me a little bit with depression.
Yeah.
It got worse again after, but you just have to like work through that. Like, yeah. And the main reason why it got worse was because of my middle school. And they were not helping. My therapist recommended half days. They didn't do that.
Oh, so they didn't go along with it.
No, they said, no, we're not doing that. So they did like
Wow.
every other day I would go to school, which was not really easy because when you aren't doing something every day, I feel like, how do I explain this? Like I would go one day, I would be so stressed out. The next day I would just spend all day thinking about tomorrow. Like I would be scared to go back tomorrow. So when I didn't have it every day, it's like I couldn't distract myself, I guess. I don't know.
That makes perfect sense, actually, because so you're spending an entire day in school, which already causes you anxiety.
Yeah.
And then the day that you don't go, you're spending the whole day worrying and being anxiety ridden to go the next day. I mean, it's like you don't get a break.
Yeah.
So probably those half days would have worked.
Going back to the
Significantly
coping
better.
skills, when I was in PHP for like depression, they taught me like sometimes I did a ice bucket like on my face, like I dumped my, I like put my head in a cold water bucket, and it actually like it just like it's kind of like the sour thing almost, like it gets you out of
Wow.
the like, yeah.
Yeah,
wanna
it's
try
it.
the
That's
sour
that's
thing.
actually similar to ice baths. If you ever seen those,
Oh,
Yeah.
where you literally just get into a pool or a tub of ice water and sit there for maybe like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I've actually done that.
Really?
Yes,
And?
it does work.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah.
surprisingly, if you can control your breathing, your body will actually learn to relax.
Wow.
So it does work for me.
Yeah.
But yes, I've done that. So
Yeah.
So you put your face in an ice bath and
Yeah. Pretty much.
and it worked.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Never heard of that.
Or like a lot of people like fidgets, like poppets and stuff. I don't. For me, I like those, but for me, like making noise, like if I were to have one in class, like it's just like don't look at me when I'm using one. But like, I don't know. I don't really use those for that reason, but also it's not the go-to for me.
Yeah.
I've spent a bunch of money on poppets though. I have like a whole bucket worth of like at least $200 worth of fidgets and stuff. So I could
Wow.
probably like donate those or something because I don't use them. Yeah.
Yes, that is interesting that what works for one person doesn't work for another person.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes it works for a little and then it just doesn't. Like you
Yeah.
change.
yeah.
So
Yeah. So I feel like you kind of got to try a multitude of things till you find something that actually works
Yeah.
for you. Yeah. So with your depression, have you ever felt suicidal?
yes.
And can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how did that feel and how did you pull yourself out of it?
It feels really bad. Like it's draining, as most things with depression are. And yeah, it just feels like the only thing, like the only way to like get rid of the pain is to die, you know? But I've learned that it's like not true because like if anything, it just causes more pain for not only the people around you, but obviously you too. Like, so I don't know. I feel like I used to think it was the answer like all the time, but I don't know. It's not. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, you haven't lived your whole life yet. It's not like. Like I'm not 90, so like, why wouldn't I just keep living and like see how it goes? You know,
Right.
like you don't know that you won't have a good future if you don't live for it. You know. So that's one of the things like I've focused on. And just make plans for your future, I guess, because if you don't, it's like harder to be here, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like if you're excited about something in the future, then it's just easier. Like for me, it might be a problem, but I have a really bad shopping addiction. So I have a package that's gonna be here today, and it's gonna make me happy, and then I'm gonna be sad again because I don't have any more packages. So
Well, you know, we got the holidays coming up, so you got
yeah,
So you have that to look forward to.
yeah.
I call
and-
it stress shopping.
Yeah,
know
I
about
do that. And I bought tickets to a concert next year, so I'm excited for that.
Which one?
Tyler, the Creator. I don't know.
Heard of that.
Okay, well, he's a rapper, but
Oh, okay. That's cool though.
Yeah.
Concerts are always a big yay.
yeah, and it's at the Little Caesars Dome.
Oh,
I'm so
really?
excited.
That's gonna be good.
Have you ever been there before?
I think I have, possibly. I don't know. The last concert I went to was at Masonic Temple. That was such a nice concert.
That's a cool
Yeah.
place. Yeah, the one time, I think I've only been to Little Caesars once, and it was to see Pink.
Oh yeah.
Talk
Veronica
about-
was there.
Oh, it was an amazing concert. It was so good.
It was like a couple of weeks after they opened the building. I went and saw Fall Out Boy, and I was in the pit.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
my god!
Yeah,
Really?
That was amazing.
Whoa.
So
Now,
Yes.
for Pink, I mean, I was up in the nosebleeds, right? Because they were still like $200 tickets.
Yeah.
So, but still, it was amazing. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
So when is the concert?
It's next July.
Oh my god!
2025. So
And this is a band you really like.
yeah, he's a rapper, so
That's cool. That'll be amazing.
yeah.
So future plans.
yeah. When I went to the hospital once for like an attempt, I told them like I wanted to move to a big city, and they were like, "Well, that's one sign that like could like keep you safe in the future." Like having plans for your future is like it makes a big difference. I feel like because if you're just thinking about in the moment, like if you're just stuck in the moment, it's gonna be hard for you to get out of the like funk, I guess. I don't know. But when you have plans for the future, it gives you something to look forward to, like I said. So,
That makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense, actually. I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah. It's I mean, from my experience, like yeah, I kind of did the same thing. I was trying to think of the future, but even in that moment, it's still very hard to go. Oh yeah, I have that concert planned, or I have that with friends.
yeah.
No, I don't know. Is that kind of the same how you felt in the moment?
Yeah, sometimes, like, yeah.
Yeah.
And, I don't know how to explain it. I guess making plans for the future could be really exciting or also really scary, you know? Like,
Yeah.
there's two ways to think about it, but I just, like, you just gotta choose to, like, try and think about it the positive way because, yeah, otherwise it's just gonna be really depressing.
Yeah.
So,
Do you journal?
not really. I don't know. Not really.
Okay. Yeah, because that is a coping mechanism I know in a lot of people. So like you draw.
Yeah, I draw my feelings out pretty much. So like,
That's really cool. So I know you have a very supportive family. I mean, are they kind of like when you're not feeling great, like your go-to people, or do you have like really good
Yeah.
friends that you can talk to, or
I mean both. Like,
both?
I have a pretty good support like group, I guess.
Yeah.
My parents, they've definitely like grown as people because of like my struggles, which is like, I wouldn't have wished for them to learn about it like this, but like since they've learned about it, it's been like they didn't understand the OCD at first because usually people just joke like, oh, I'm such a clean freak. I organize my house all the time. It's really
Yeah.
not like that because you have to like, you get really anxious unless you obsess. It's obsessive. So you obsess over something and then you have an urge to do something. That's the compulsive part. And then the disorder is just the disorder. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, so your your parents have really had to kind of wrap their arms
Yeah.
around it and do a lot of learning and educating too.
Yeah, which like I'm glad because like they're there for me because yeah, I don't know. Like some parents are like, "Oh, you're just being lazy and stuff." I've heard that before.
Oh yeah.
But
They try to understand it.
yeah, they really do. So that's
Yeah.
good. And most of my friends struggle with the same things as I do. Like that's where we connect most of the time, or like we connect on like interests and stuff too, obviously. But yeah, it's nice to talk to people that like get it,
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
because usually you feel like you're alone and like you're the only person that feels this way. But I've learned that it's not really true. Like even if you don't know anybody who feels that way, there's definitely people out there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I asked you that specific question because I know that, there's a lot of teens out there that are struggling and they try to keep it
Yeah.
internally.
Yeah. I've learned that like the more you do that, it just gets worse because when you eventually do like break, I guess, like it just is total freak out. Like I don't know. I've tried that. I've tried like holding in my feelings before, and I eventually just have like a huge panic attack because like I've been holding that in for so long. So I like to just talk about it. I go to therapy. And I feel like a lot of people think that therapy is for like, I don't know, not normal people, but I feel like everybody should go to therapy.
Yeah.
Like even if you don't think you have struggles, I think everybody does.
That's the key thing I've always heard is even if you think you don't need it, go. That's
Yeah.
when you should go.
Yeah.
So that's a very good statement.
There's a lot of times where I'll be like, oh, I don't need therapy. But I obviously do. Self-harm was a big thing for me too. And yeah.
How's
it's
that
like-
coming along? Are you getting better with that?
Yeah. I don't know how long I've been clean for, but like, yeah, it's pretty hard. It's like, once you start, it's really hard to stop. It's like, I don't know why I even started. I think I started over school. So school is a really big thing for my depression.
It's a big trigger for you, it
Yeah.
sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And so self-harm would just be like my go-to. But once you resist something, it's easier to like kind of like with the OCD, like if you resist your compulsions, is that the word? Like it's easier to just stop altogether. So I mean, obviously there's going to be times where you still feel like you need to do stuff like that, but it's like, for me, I compare it to eating better. Like, not like, because I don't like saying that there's bad foods and good foods, but because obviously, like, sometimes I'll be like, I don't want to call myself bulimic because, like, I don't do it all the time, but sometimes I just feel like I need to get it out. And it really sucks. And so, like, when I go to school and they're talking about, like, what's healthy and what's not, it's like, it's really triggering. It triggered me a while ago when they started talking about that in class. And they, like, give you this sheet of, like, tracking your food and stuff. When I did that last time, it was like so bad. It just got worse. So I just try to focus on eating things that make me feel good,
Yes.
you know? So like when I resist eating like cupcakes, it gets easier, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't know if that was a good like comparison.
No, that actually was.
I think it was
because
perfect.
I think that just made me think about, I don't know about you, but in a way, the school thinks they're helping with something by, oh, let's look at the nutrition facts of this good food over that bad food, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But in a sense, to some people, like yourself, it makes it worse.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
never thought of it that way.
And then to track what you eat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you're a
that's-
14-year-old. Why do you need to track what you're eating?
Yeah.
I know.
And ironically, our last guest, she's a therapist, and she works specifically with people who have eating disorders. And so she was talking about, her word was eating food that fuels you.
Yeah, that's what, yeah, like, yeah.
And I love that term, and like stop, like, why do we label, like you said, like you don't label foods good or bad, like we shouldn't do that. So.
Yeah, they're like all food, and I feel like you're allowed to have things that are considered bad. I mean, like,
Yes.
I don't
Yes,
really,
you are.
I don't believe in good and bad foods, obviously, but it's not bad to eat something you like. Like,
Right.
it's not gonna.
It's like, oh, you ate a candy bar today, big deal.
yeah,
right?
and I feel like a lot of people, like, I used to binge and then restrict, binge and then restrict. It was like a never-ending thing. So just like moderation, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
that helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Like, not beating myself up after like eating like a cupcake or something,
Yep.
because everybody should be allowed to eat a cupcake. I mean,
Everybody.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
I love cupcakes.
yeah,
That's for sure. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm really glad that you brought up the going to therapy thing, because I do think that there is such a huge stigma around going to therapy, and it
Yeah.
really is just so helpful. It's somebody who is completely non-judgmental, just sitting there listening to you and trying to help you out a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice, honestly. Like, I, another thing with depression is like sometimes I compare myself to others. Like, oh, like she looks like she's got her life together, you know? Like my neighbor, I used to compare myself to her a lot, like, because she's my age, but, because I always thought she was perfect, but I mean, everybody's got their own struggles. Like, I try not to compare myself to anybody anymore, because even if they don't show it, like, it's almost like online, people show you what they want to see, what they want you to see.
The highlight reel.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true.
So, even if some people are just better at masking it, I guess. So, like, just don't compare yourself to others, because it's not like everybody's perfect. Like,
Yeah.
and
Perfect doesn't exist.
No.
and I found out she struggles with body image issues. So it's like nobody's perfect. Like, there's this like big, I guess there's a lot of pressure on like people to be put together, I guess, but it's human to like show your emotions. Like, and another thing, crying. People think crying is like embarrassing and stuff. It's like, it's not embarrassing. If someone cries around you, you should be, I guess, not happy, but like relieved that they can trust you that much, you know? And crying is like a good way to get out emotion. Like, if you hold it in all the time, like I said, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be worse when it eventually comes out. So,
Yeah.
Well, I would say crying is your body's way of healing.
yeah,
Because if you cut yourself, what happens? Your blood stops, it clots, and
Yeah.
your skin heals up. It's your way of healing.
yeah,
Crying is your emotional healing.
yeah,
That's a really good way of putting that.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah. So I love it that I love people that just can be vulnerable in themselves,
Yeah.
because you're right. Like, if you try and hold it all in, it's going to come out. It's going to rear its ugly head, and it is going to come out in all kinds of really icky
Yeah.
ways,
Oh, yeah.
and like panic attacks and
Yeah,
all kinds of things.
I like to be vulnerable, even though, like, you never know what somebody's gonna say. Like, they could say, "Oh, you're being dramatic" or something. But like, I like to be vulnerable, because if you're the person you're talking to, like, struggles with that stuff, maybe they'll learn something. Like, you don't have to hide everything. Like, it's okay to feel not okay, I guess.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know.
Because even if they say, "Oh, you're just being dramatic," or
Yeah.
whatever their quote may be, they might turn around, get home, and go, okay, I might see something there.
Yeah.
So they might just be projecting at that moment, and then later on hit a realization.
Yeah. One time I was vulnerable to one of my old friends. I was in and out of mental hospitals for like 2 years, so I didn't talk to him for a really long time. And we used to be super good friends, and then when I got in contact with him, like last October, I guess. I don't know. Teenage boys are really mean, but
Yes.
he called me emo. he like he kept bugging me. I explained to him why I wasn't like talking to him for a while. I was like I had to go get help for some stuff. He just kept bugging me. He's like, "What happened? What happened? What happened?" When I finally told him, he's like, "Ew, you're emo."
Wow.
I was like, "You were the one that asked me, but okay."
Are you still friends?
No, because
Big surprise.
I know. I had to ask, but
he's also like racist and stuff. So I feel like tolerating racism is racism because, yeah, I don't know if that relates to any of this, but like, you shouldn't be friends with someone that like hates on other people for no reason because in the long run, it could upset other people too. Like, not just you.
yeah.
So I feel like I was really set on like, maybe he has reasons behind this, even though any reason to be racist is terrible, but like maybe if I talk to him a little bit, he'll be like, "Oh yeah, this is so stupid." Like,
Yeah.
but I
Did
just
not go that way, huh?
you shouldn't focus on fixing other people because they need to do that themselves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
fixing ourselves is an internal job.
yeah,
It's hard work. Mm-hmm. So you're 14. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, overall, how are you feeling? Hopeful? Feeling better? I know you still struggle, and,
Yeah.
that's not, like,
Yeah.
there's no automatic fix for that, and you may struggle forever.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
possible.
who knows? But I mean, like overall, like it sounds like you've put some coping mechanisms in place and you have a really good support system of people you can turn to. I know you still struggle, but like overall, how do you kind of feel like you're doing even now compared to years past?
I'm doing a lot better, I would say, even though it feels like sometimes I get worse, but it's like I've learned a lot because before everything started, I like was super happy, and then when it hit, it was like it felt like it was the end of the world. So, yeah. Another coping mechanism though was like I don't know why, but when I started getting really depressed, I watched like a bunch of scary movies because it's a weird way to put it, but I talked to my therapist about it a couple of years ago when I was in residential. She was like, "Yeah, that makes sense." So I said, "It's like when you are watching something like, oh, you're like, oh, my life's not as bad as them." Like, I guess that's a bad comparison, but it's like it makes me feel better like at least I don't have like a serial killer chasing after me.
Yeah, you
know?
don't have
Right.
somebody with a chainsaw like,
Yeah.
after you in the
Yeah.
dark woods. Yeah, I mean,
Like, it's I don't know. It's
Well, it's the
weird,
same
but-
concept as music.
Yeah,
You know, people listen to what they call emo or, alternative.
yeah. I like that kind of music.
yeah.
I like a bunch of different music, but it depends on how I'm feeling, I guess.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's good to just listen to music that you resonate with. I don't know. That you like can relate to, because then it just kind of reminds you that you're not alone, but also sometimes I found that it just makes me feel worse if I'm listening to sad stuff.
Yeah.
So it depends
Yeah.
Well,
how.
you also got to think, especially with music, and I think we actually talked about this way in the beginning when we started this. Artists, actually, there's a reason they're creating that song. And it's more than likely because they are going through, or somebody in the band has gone through. So there's a reason that song's there.
Yeah.
So that means, correct, you're not alone because that artist is dealing with the same thing.
Yeah.
Hence why they wrote the song.
Yep.
So yeah, you do resonate with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and think about all the music artists out there that, have struggled with a variety of different things and
Yeah.
drug addiction and all kinds of things. And yeah, like they tell their story through their music. And
Oh, yeah.
I feel like a lot of people have had issues, like famous people, and you don't even realize it until they're like, oh, I struggle with this. And then it just makes you feel better because, like, look at how far they've gone. Like it obviously gets better. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Very true. Very true. Well, Harper, is there anything else that we haven't really
Yeah.
touched on that you
Or if there's anything you'd want to say to
the
your age
teens out
group.
there?
Yeah.
It gets better even if it doesn't feel like it. Because sometimes it'll feel like it's the end of the world, and then the other times, the next moment, it could be like, oh, I love my life. Like, that's how it is for me, at least. But yeah,
So would you say don't give up?
Yeah, don't give up.
Keep
Yeah.
trying.
yeah, because you never know. Like, you can't know if you're gonna get better if you don't try. Like, I don't know.
I like that.
Just like,
Me too.
don't give up. Yeah.
It's perfect. Yes. That's perfect. Well, thank you, Harper,
Yeah.
for coming on the show. I
Really
know
appreciate
that this took a lot of courage on your part to come out and just be vulnerable with Whitney and I and all of those out there who are
Yeah.
listening. But we really felt like it was important to bring someone on your age who is going through it and coming out the other side. And we just wanted to show other kids that they're not alone and there's hope. And
Yeah. That's the main reason I wanted to do this, to like be vulnerable. Because like I said, it could make other people feel better about themselves, like, oh, I'm not alone, you know? So, yeah.
for sure.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes,
Thanks.
we are so grateful. Thank you so much, Harper.
Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. All right, well, I guess that's all for today.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, we will catch you
On the flip side.
This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We are just your friends. Whitney and I are not licensed therapists, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional.